Hello and welcome to the UCI Continental Qualifiers for Women as we head back to Watopia and the forward figure eight course. This is getting ready for our UCI World Championships coming up in a couple of months, and 6 riders will be punching their tickets and qualifying to represent their nation at the Worlds. My name is Dave Toll, being joined by the erstwhile Hannah Walker. Hannah is fresh off of our European qualifiers race, and Hannah, this course serves up a perfect template for our top riders to have an opportunity to prove themselves.
It certainly does. This course has a mix of it all. You have the longer climbs, just up to 2.5 kilometers. That reverse Queen of the Mountain. You have that short, punchy Queen of the Mountain in the forwards direction. As you can see, there's lots of opportunities for riders to try and make a move, to try and split things up on the course today. But as you just said, Dave, we had such a fantastic race in the European Continental Championship earlier on, and I think today's Pan Am Champs is going to be just quite the same.
Yeah, it's a long race as well today. Expect probably about an hour and a half for our top riders to be out on course. They've got 2 power-ups that will be at their disposal, so this is really straight ahead. They'll have an opportunity to use either the aero or the lightweight power-up, and those are distributed even odds to pick them up at any of the arches that the riders go underneath. Hannah, that's going to come to be critical today as the gamification in Zwift is a big part. Understanding how to race on this platform makes a massive, massive difference. We've got some big names jumping in to this race as well. Obviously, for the nations represented, it's going to be mostly, if not entirely, Canada and the United States in this field. This is a nice opportunity to double dip. If you can qualify some of your top riders here today, it frees up some spots for your selectors for your national federation a little bit later. So a really good opportunity today.
It certainly is, and as you say, it's a good opportunity for those riders to show what they've got. Perhaps some of those riders who are flying under the radar just a little bit. This is their opportunity to prove to everyone and show to everyone what they're able to do and what they're capable of doing. 6 riders are able to qualify, so the top 6 riders across the line today will qualify, and it is a scratch race. There's no points on offer that you have to pick up any intermediate. It's just a straightforward scratch.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. Is normally in the ZRL that really changes the tactics, but here we lock things down for sure. You've got to get over these featured climbs. It's really, when you look at it, it's a complicated course to race on, as there's some long flat sections in between these efforts. They're not outstandingly long climbs, but enough that the top riders will really, really make do some damage each time
It,
up, whether it's the reverse KOM or the forward KOM. Hannah.
it certainly is, and you have also those rolling sections, which that keeps always keeps it really interesting as well. We've seen before where riders can make a strategic attack, and it could change the whole dynamic of the race, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. They say fortune favors the brave. Today, I'm not sure. I think patience might favor the brave, but let's jump right in as racing will be fast and furious right from the gun. And there they are as they spawn, heading out on course here. This is Watopia. Again, the course today is the infamous forward figure eight. There's a name to watch for, Hannah, right from the get-go. Jackie Godby comes in as a 4-star favorite here today. I don't know of a rider that this course suits any better than Jackie Godby, and she's proven herself at this level over the last couple of years.
She has, and she's been a real force to be reckoned with, hasn't she? She's been, quite dominant in certain races. She's a rider who can excel on different terrain as well. It's not only the flat races or the hilly races where she excels. She's able to have that combination, that mixture of elevation, where she is able to perform in races, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely, Hannah. Now, I'm going to highlight a few of the riders to watch as we go in cam with Jackie Godby. Jackie is works just completing her PhD and is now working at a hospital as her internship is underway. Really, truly an amazing human being. Now, One of the women that she's going to be the most worried about out here today would be Kristen Kulczynski. And I would imagine, Hannah, that Kulczynski's going to use every trip up these climbs to try to show as many riders the back door as she possibly can. I'm even going to predict that this group is halved the first time. Now, it'll be the QOM reverse, the first featured climb that we see. We're going to take a look at Megan Eastler. Megan has been in Iowa, actually, where she's from. She's now going to school in Oregon at Oregon State, which is another one of the West Coast universities that is a great cycling program there. And again, Megan Eastler, who took on a full gravel season of racing this year, has got a nice mix of in real life and racing with us here in this esports platform on Zwift. I would put her into that outsiders group. She's right on the cusp of having a breakthrough win, Hannah. And I would say that not even a win, but a top 6 today would be a massive step forward for Megan Eastler out of Oregon.
It certainly would, and I think there's a few other riders who are in this peloton as well who are sort of knocking on the door. They're just waiting for their breakthrough. Who might be a little unknown, flying under the radar just a little bit when you take a look down at the start list and who has entered into this Pan American Continental qualifier. Even riders, Charlotte Bacchus of 2024, she's coming through the ranks nice and strongly, and I think having the victories and the success within that team in esports with Crystal Kaczynski and the top results that they've had with Shayna Powless as well, it's giving that confidence to the riders within the team, and having their sports director Jamie at the helm is doing wonders for them.
This is Angela Pitzer, who's been a U.S. national champion in her career going back just a couple of years ago. She lives in Denver, Colorado. She almost has an artist's studio. I think Matt would appreciate her pain cave here. So a talented rider as we look at Angela Pitzer, and she's sitting right in the sweet spot of this group as well, trying to conserve as much energy as possible before we go absolutely ballistic on that first climb. So we've mentioned some of the riders to watch. I think Stephanie Sidlick's name should be thrown into that mix. And of course, Catherine Curie comes in as one of the most dangerous esports riders in the history of the discipline, to tell you the truth. She has really, really embraced this. And Catherine Curie racing out of the West Coast. She's up in Northern California in the Palo Alto area. Grupo Compacto right now. Again, it's a long day. Congratulations, by the way, going out to Wahoo Lacole. As you can see, their beautiful jersey right there, as it was Zoe Langham picking up the win earlier. She had a fantastic ride out there today, Hannah.
Yes, she did. That absolute stunning ride for the young British rider. She was quite surprised. Come the finish line, she didn't know what she was quite capable of, and biggest victory under her belt there. As we take a look at Mona-Lee Keller, the Canadian rider, in her pain cave. She's a rider who is almost part of the furniture in the ZRL Premier Division. She's always there, isn't she, Dave?
Yeah, absolutely. A Canadian who now lives in Seattle, works for Microsoft, where she is a lead engineer. Actually, the former Everesting champion, virtual Everesting top rider V Win, works with Mona-Lee Keller there. They've got probably the fastest lunch ride that you could imagine over there in Redmond in Washington State. That's going to be, again, Keller representing Canada. So that is certainly noteworthy, as there's not that many of these riders are Canadian in this group, starting to push the pace a little bit. And I think that this is going to be Sydney Andrew that we're looking at, another rider looking to break through out here today, the young American, who certainly, this is a great opportunity, Hannah, for some of these riders to make their mark for the first time at this level. Some of these names are very familiar. We can talk about Kristen Kulczynski, who I see moving through the group now. She had the biggest win of her career, as you were just talking about Zoe Langham earlier, Hannah. Well, Kulczynski's confidence must be buoyed. I can't even imagine what that has done for her and for the team, getting that final win, or the huge win at the final race of this most recent ZRL season. But this is Sydney Andrew, who's certainly looking to upset the apple cart today, Hannah.
Yeah, I think she certainly will be, and a teammate of our European Continental qualifier winning rider Zoe Langham. I think there's going to be many riders who will have seen Zoe Langham's ride this morning and seen, well, I'm quite capable of that. I can perform just as good as that, and be one of those kind of underdog riders coming into this race, knowing that, well, actually the race is quite open, and depending on the way that the race plays out, the dynamic, the tactics that get underway. Of course, you aren't racing with a team here. There's no real team tactic like we see in the ZRL Premier Division or Community Division. This is a rider looking after themselves, almost to a bit of a selfish way of riding, that you want to make sure that you're looking after your own interests. How are you going to qualify yourself in this Pan American Continental qualifier? So you have to really think about, where can I save energy? You don't have you might not be thinking of team tactics or having your normal communication methods that we see get underway either on Discord or WhatsApp call or any other form of communication between your team and your sports director. So it can be a very, very different dynamic, the way that this race is played out, Dave.
I could not agree more, Hannah. As a matter of fact, this is so unique. We can talk about that here in the early going as we've got Alana Brady. There's going to be some riders here, as I mentioned, that we aren't that familiar with. And I love it takes a lot of courage to jump in at this level. And I have a feeling someone's going to come out of the woodwork today, Hannah. We were talking with our crew, and I want to give a shout out to Johnny and his team, Naomi, Beth, and Simon, who do such a tremendous job of producing these events. It's amazing what they're able to do. And while we were, I mean, we're all huge fans as well. I mean, that's one of the things I love about this team is that passion for this racing really shows with everyone. And we were talking about the favorite riders to watch out here. Some interesting names came up, and there's going to be, out of that group of 6, I have a feeling maybe someone like Alana Brady has her moment out here today. That's one of the greatest things about bike racing, especially, Hannah. I want to circle back to what you were saying. This is going to be wide open. There's no one team that can control this race. We don't have to worry about the standard format of team racing, which I love in the ZRL, where it's really based on the comprehensive effort from your entire squad. No matter how strong you are, if you're a Jackie Godby or Kristen Kolchinski, you still need at least a couple of strong teammates out there scoring points to be able to get your team up onto the top of the table. That's not the case here today. You can ride conservatively. You can sit in that group. And Hannah, I mean, it really is a race for the individual, not the team. And that's really rare for us at this level.
I think for some riders as well, if they're not used to racing in that way and racing for themselves and racing individually and not having the team to sort of back them up and have that teamwork get underway, some riders are just not used to it. And, it's about dealing with that pressure as well. Everything rests on your shoulders, how you perform, the decisions you make, the tactics that you employ to try and win the race, to qualify yourself. There's so many different factors going on for today's Continental Championship, and there's so much at stake. Of course, everyone wants to try and get to the Esports World Championships at the back end of February. There's almost 3 months to go until that World Championships, and for the riders, it's coming into this race. How are you feeling on the day? As we know, from seeing riders race, if you have one off day, if you have one bad day, everything could be going right. But if you physically just don't have it, you might mentally be right on your A game, but physically you might just have a bad day, and that can be it. Your qualifiers are over.
Yeah, and it's funny, Hannah, or maybe not funny, but those days seem to come along a lot more often. Listening to Matt in the broadcast earlier, those days where you have the heavy legs, the pizza legs, they seem to show up they're always around the corner. But it's like that morning when you wake up and you hop on the scale and you've lost 3 pounds, right? You can't believe that your progress is finally starting to show. And I have a feeling this is where you break through. Wins are always going to be judged against the quality of the competition. And speaking of that, one thing that can really buoy your spirits are seeing all of these ride-ons dropping down on our riders. Open up your companion app. If you haven't already found your favorite riders, you can search them there. Go to the Find Riders tab, follow them, and then hit them with the thumbs up. They will love it. I remember during Kolchinski's win at the final race of the most recent ZRL season, she at the middle part of the race had over 200 ride-ons, and it really does make a difference, and it's a great way for you to get involved. This is Ashley McIntosh that we're in with now. Good for Ashley. Now, this is a moment, almost a David and Goliath moment, right? Hannah, when you hear about names like Jackie Godby or Catherine Curie, they're monsters, and they have proven it week in, week out on this Zwift platform. If you want to go against them, you've got to really buck up. You've got to believe in yourself. And that was something that I took from some of your comments earlier, Hannah. It all starts in your belief in yourself. And it looks like that is exactly what we're seeing right now as we hit the bottom of what's going to be the first of 4 significant trips up this climb. And Angela Pitzer of the Wahoo Nicole team looking really good. Here comes Kolchinski, Courtney Nelson moving up, Liz Van Houweling. There's a name that we should be talking about more. And Nomi Labe Roy is one of the Canadian riders. But look at this, Hannah. They're already turning the screws. They're going to really whittle this group down here. Kolchinski doing what Kolchinski does.
Well, just getting onto those steep gradients there, Angela Pitzer was the rider. When it reached 11%, she was wanting to try and stretch things out. And as a result of that, Kolchinski has gone over the top. She's got a slight gap with Jackie Godby. So 2 of the main protagonists that we've seen over the last year in the ZRL Premier Division are starting to make their move and really starting to do some damage to the riders behind. We're starting to see gaps opening up to riders, and you can see Liz Van Houweling trying to get herself back into contention, just sitting there around 6th position at the moment, 7th position, trying to reel back in these two riders who have got just over a 1 second gap, Dave.
Yeah, Liz Van Houweling has been racing in our America's West in the community ZRL races and has been a significant factor in every race that she starts. And it looks like she's making this selection. Now, this is really interesting. I know that Kristen Kolchinski is going to be a little bit out of her comfort zone physically as she's racing not in her standard pain cave, but she's over at her sister's house, I believe, racing today because of internet issues. She's got to be really, really happy that she made that decision because you're going to need good internet if you want to stay on Jackie Godby's wheel. So Jackie Godby is a legend in this world, and I would not be surprised. It's certainly something that I couldn't imagine advising Hannah, but these two could pull. So Kristen Kolchinski, all she needs is one good partner to possibly ride away in a breakaway here, and Jackie Godby would be that rider. These two, I mean, it is still 50.4 kilometers from the finish line. A strong group behind them, and they're already starting to just blow this field to bits. Taking a look at Courtney Nelson, also racing out of California, and she's another rider that could find her way into this top 6 today. This is our Pan Am UCI Continental Qualifiers. It's a huge day for a lot of these women to try to make a big step forward and represent, whether it's the United States or Canada, but represent their nation at the World Championships. Here's a young rider, Hannah, out of Utah, living in Park City, is Charlotte Backus on the 2024 team. She was recruited to the team not only because of her talent on the bike, but she's got a mastermind as well, and has really brought a lot of intelligent thought to that 2024 team. Hannah, I'll throw it back to you as these riders are fighting to chase back 2 very strong leaders.
Yeah, you just see the group of 5 just trying to chase back on. One more rider is just joining them now. That's Angela Pitzer, who is just joining the back of Charlotte Backus's group. And you can just see, I'll run through the names. Sarah Portella is here, Charlotte Backus, Jamie Clark. We have Jen Reel and Angela Pitzer, who I said, Brittany Imlach, the Canadian rider, and then just around 10 seconds behind, we have Moira Nelson also. So this group, as they just crest the top of this Queen of the Mountain, the first time, the first ascent of this Queen of the Mountain, around 27 seconds in arrears to the leading group of riders. And we saw, didn't we, Dave? You know, if the group can get themselves organized, if they can try and get some cohesion between them all to work together to almost form an alliance, it is possible for them to try and close the gap to the leading group, but it has to be consistent. They have to be persistent as well, and also determined to try and bring back this front group.
Yeah, and I mean, absolutely, Hannah. When you look at it, I'm starting to wonder, do these two possibly want to shock the world and ride a 50-kilometer breakaway out here today? Uh, well, apparently right now the answer is going to be patience. You got to stay a little calm at this moment as we take a look at that front group. That's Stephanie Sidlick there moving forward in that Canyon kit. She's going to be a dangerous rider. You can see she was just floating up that previous climb. Shayna Paulus has made this group. Shayna, another one of the great stories that has developed over the last couple of years in the world of esports. And she's making, right now, making herself look pretty comfortable, all in all, sitting up in this front group. So Megan Eastler has made this move as well. There's a new name, and that's exciting, as Alexi Snover is here. I have to be honest, don't have a lot of intel on Alexi Snover, but this is how you welcome yourself to big-time racing, right in the front group here on lap number 1. It's 2 laps out here on the forward figure 8 course. Monali Keller sitting quite comfortably there. You can see the Canadian flag for the Aeonian rider. She just joined the Aeonian team in the last couple of months. That was a huge pickup for them.
It certainly was. 13 riders are remaining in this leading group. And as you say, yeah, Monali Keller, the Canadian rider of Ionian Race Team, was a huge signing. But also, as a whole, the Ionian Race Team have gone from strength to strength this season. They've got a number of riders who are so prominent. You take a look at Los Arakis from the European Continental Qualifiers and how well she's been going this season. As we take a look at Stephanie Sidlick, that rider in the Canyon Esports kit, it's very noticeable, that pink and purple kit, as you see her in her pain cave with what looks to be a USA National Champions jersey in the background, just hanging up to show just her prominence in the cycling world, Dave.
Yeah, those are highly coveted anywhere around the world, but I'd imagine that that must have been a sweet moment for Stephanie Sidlick. When you take a look at this group, Hannah, the IQ, the average IQ, I mean, 5 of these women either have their PhD or are PhD candidates riding in this front. That's 5 that I know of. It might even be more than that, but it's certainly not less. It's incredibly impressive. A few of these riders are moms as well. Meredith Keller, her daughter just had a birthday on Thanksgiving here in the United States. Liz Van Houweling also, I just read a feature on her. She's a mom of a couple of kids. What these women do, absolutely amazing. And in this front group right now, it's going to be hard to make a difference, to have an impact here, as Kristen Kolchinski right now just again, the next time the road tilts up, expect Kolchinski to hit hard. Although, Hannah, if you've survived to this point, I think you've got to be feeling pretty good about the day that you're on. We were talking about good days and bad days. Well, you've got good legs if you're riding up in the front group right now. And I think riders like Stephanie Sidlick are probably starting to realize that. Going to get a little bit more confidence at this point as we get ready for another acceleration here.
And here we see Dave, one of the riders who has been ever prominent throughout the whole, for the last year. She's been a rider who's been knocking on the door. Kristen Kolchinski had her biggest breakthrough only around 10 days ago when she won the final round of the ZRL Premier Division. And just take a look how easy she makes this look, how calm and collected she looks all the time. She's in her new setup at her sister's place, as you mentioned, Dave. But Kristen Kolchinski, she has to be one of those riders who will be vying for a place. She's been one of the top esports riders in the world, I must add, I think, of this season. And she's been a rider, as I said before, who got her breakthrough. You just take a look at the numbers that she's putting out. And also she's a rider who, for me, she's not afraid to challenge. She's not afraid to go long Yeah, I think she's brave, she's bold, she's audacious. She doesn't like to wait until perhaps the last moment, the final moment. She doesn't only make one attack, and if it doesn't work, she sits back and waits until the finish. She's a rider who likes to go multiple times until she makes that breakaway stick.
I completely agree, Hannah. I think Krista Kolchinsky is the kind of rider that makes racing fun to watch, to tell you the truth. She animates things, and you're absolutely right. She's on the other side of things. Now, they're going to pick up another power up here, but she's one of those riders you almost have to rein in a little bit in the first half of the race and hope that she can keep some energy for the finale. And she's already proved it with the most impressive solo breakaway win that we've seen in the history of the ZRL. But you know that they're going to be coming for full guns a-blazing. This is another Canadian that has made that front group, Estelle Beauville, who we also have seen racing extensively in the ZRL community races. This is a huge opportunity for a few of these riders to, as we say, level up. Catherine Curie's name is always going to be ominous when you see it. Again, a three-time winner in the ZRL. There's only been 22 races that would, actually, excuse me, now 30 races that would qualify, and she's won 1/10 of them by herself. And this is, again, Kolchinsky moving up to the front. She's still got her teammate Shayna Powell, you can see, with the 24 on her back. They still have their numbers because of the fact that they race in the ZRL with the 2024 team. So, Hannah, when you look at Kolchinsky here, again, this is not her normal pain cave, but this is absolutely the Kristen Kolchinsky that we've gotten to know and love. She runs, relatively comfortable at 173 beats per minute,
And
but that gives you a good feel.
If
Yeah.
if you if Dave, if you look at the way she's racing now, she's racing, she's moving up, she's starting to make her way forwards through the peloton. Whilst being on the phone, she's communicating with someone, perhaps her sports director, perhaps her teammate Shayna Powless, and she's still sort of putting the hurt on some of the riders. Perhaps changing her music as well. Perhaps just starting to
Insta
get some
post.
upbeat. Yeah, exactly. Who knows? But it's just such an impressive, such an impressive rider.
A multi-talented, multifaceted human being, that is for sure. And again, look, I mean, I see people outside of a Starbucks getting their coffee that don't look as comfortable as Kristen Kolchinsky does deep into lap number one. Again, 2 laps out here. As they went underneath that arch, every time you see them go under an arch with a finish truss, you're going to see them, well, they will pick up another power-up, whether it's the aero power-up, which makes you 25% more aerodynamic for 15 seconds, so you just get a little slipperier, or the feather, the lightweight power up, which I'm going to guess that would be more in demand, Hannah. The feather power up is that 10% off of your body weight for 15 seconds. That might be enough to either make your attack stick or keep you in the group when you need a little bit of a push. But the next trip up, it won't now be the reverse QOM, but rather the forward QM. This is a complicated course to race on. As a matter of fact, in real life, you do see, I remember times that they've raced over the Alpe d'Huez on both sides, or we've seen that at some of the bigger stage races around the world. But this is a fantastic course to help sort out the top 6 riders, whether it be Canadian or American, that get a chance to represent their country at the World Championships, as you said, coming up in late February. So Hannah taking some inventory up in this front group. Some of the names that we expected are there, but how about Snover making this front group? She's got to be chuffed.
Yeah, she certainly will be. But if you even look down, Ashley McIntosh as well. You've got Isla up there in this leading group too. So there's a few riders who, as I said before, if you have some unknown riders in this leading group who perhaps the bigger names are watching out for, then they're not aware of, they have themselves quite confident. We just don't know how they're able to perform. Some of these riders who are flying underneath the radar, and the difference, as we were kind of touching on before, of some of these bigger named riders, Godby, Kolchinsky, Beauville, Monali Keller, and Sidlick as well, who predominantly race as part of a team, and they're always working towards a team classification. It's very different the way that you want to race as an individual. How do you come into this? Do you come into this and make your own plan? Do you still have a chat with your teammates. We've got two riders who are teammates in this leading group here, Shayna Paulus and Crystal Kaczynski. Will they have come into this and had a chat together? How can they both try and qualify themselves and be two riders of part of the six riders who automatically qualify for the World Championships? It's very different. It's a different thought process as well for these riders.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm going to think, Hannah, that Josh Lipka, the director sportif for the 2024 team, is in both of those riders' ears. So that's a huge advantage for them. The information and to be honest, the psychology, the comfort that you have knowing that you've got another set of eyeballs watching your back. We're going to go back and take a look at the chasers. We watched in the European race a group really fight hard. That's Jen Reel. I don't think, Hannah, that anybody has got a better pain cave setup than Jen. She races on the big island of Hawaii. So a lot going for her as long as she's not up on top of the mountain there. Low altitude, a beautiful place to be. Can't imagine it gets much better than that. This group, if they can organize, we'll see if they'll be able to chase their way back again. I don't know, especially with Catherine Curie, Jackie Godby, Krista Kolchinski in that front group, that they lay back at all and give these women much of an opportunity, but they'll keep fighting out here.
They certainly will, but as we saw before, if the chasing group they keep that consistent, persistent riding and racing and keep the team work between themselves, although racing for their own individual spots, if they kind of come together and gain a little bit of cohesion and they really share that workload to try and bring the front group back, we know it is potentially possible. Even since in the last few hundred meters, they've taken another 4 seconds out of the leading group. It's now 22 seconds, 21 seconds now is the gap. So they're always eating into the current lead of that leading group of Kolchinski, Nelson, Godby, and yeah, if they time it right, it is a possibility that they could get themselves back into contention in this Pan American Continental qualifier.
Hannah, we were talking about that rider coming out of the woodwork. Well, let me introduce her to you right now. Alexi Snover was a track and field star at the University of California, San Diego. She can run 400 meters in 50 seconds. 50 seconds.
Wow.
That's close to Olympic level, world class. She, right now, Josh Lipka, probably listening to this broadcast, has just told Kristen Kolchinski that Snover is a monster. Just because we haven't met her before, it's the devil you know and the devil you don't. Well, this is the devil that you don't know that's going to be a big part. I'm just going to put it out there. I expect that she will be our breakthrough rider here today. Talking about Alexi Snover here. Again, that's the kind of background like you hear about riders like Michael Woods. There's a fast track for athletes that have run at an international level. It's not that different what you're doing here racing in esports. It's the ability to suffer and having a massive cardiovascular system built up.
And
Watch
those
out for Snover.
Definitely. And those riders who are able to cross over between sports, who have that sort of top end athlete physical ability and able to cross over between sports, it is so impressive because to be able to not only have that physical ability, but in game as well, know the nuances of Zwift, how to race, where to be positioned within the peloton and try and save as much energy as you possibly can. Alexi Snover, the rider from the USA, who we can just see on the far side of the peloton at the moment, doing a sterling job.
We're going to go jump back now as this is your front group out here. This is a chase, and it looks like Wahoo Lacole is organizing things now. They're starting to pick it up out here as we make our way through the first half hour of racing. So, Hannah, for all intents and purposes, we're only a third of the way into this race. There are some events that we do where they would be within the final 10 minutes here. So this is the chase, trying to
Of the
organize, pit
Of the 4 riders that started for Wahoo Lacol, we've got 3 of those riders in this chasing group. So you can see they're almost forming themselves into a team time trial like formation. They've got the leading group in their sights now. And as they start to reel them back in, Dave, the time gap now 7 seconds. When we saw it
Wow.
earlier on, it was just touching over 30 seconds. So they've kept that cohesion within this group, and I think it's played into their hands that they have the 3 riders for Wahoo Lacol who are fighting like dogs to try and bring this leading group back. Just take a look at the focus on Jamie Clark's face and
Yeah.
just how much this is really starting to hurt as the gradient picks up to 3% out of these underwater tunnels.
They came back from 25 seconds was the gap. This is stunning, and it's been the story of the day. It's all heart here for Jamie Clark. I am really impressed. We've got a few riders here, Hannah, that I'd like to welcome to big-time esports racing, and the American Jamie Clark is going to be another rider that we're going to have to do some research. Look at her heart rate now, sitting just under 190 beats per minute as she is absolutely slaying herself. This is tough, Hannah, because they're not that far off from hitting the bottom of the next climb. It's like showing up at a high school party right when the cops get there if they make their way into the back of this group, because there's going to be a major hit out happening. But you gotta love the fight here. This is the character that you're looking for in a racer when you're putting together a team. Wahoo Lacol should be proud of the effort that these women are making, whether by hook or by crook. I think they're going to make that catch here, Hannah, as this is what bike racing is all about, no doubt about it. 25 seconds back, I think it's fair to say that a lot of us were writing them off.
They certainly will. But Dave, I don't know what kind of parties you've been going to when the cops show up.
We'll have to get you out to Colorado at some point
Oh yeah,
here, Hannah. So, right.
it's a deal. It's a
So
deal.
how about Angela Pitzer? So going back a couple of years ago, Angela, who is also a mom and a big part of just the community of esports and local racing, Angela is having a fantastic day here today, helping get this group. Now, it doesn't look like everybody's making it. Charlotte Backus, we were talking about the young rider. Actually, Charlotte would know about high school parties in Colorado. I don't know if she went to the parties, but she went to Fort Lewis College down in Durango, which is one of our premier collegiate cycling schools in the United States. Looks like Hannah right now, as it gets very, very steep here, you can watch the pitch. It undulates at this point, but this is one of the most well-known climbs on Watopia. And I have a feeling, Hannah, this trip up the climb, only the strong will survive. We've got an OSS situation happening right here, right now.
Certainly have in just those gradients of upwards of 11%. And when you see those red numbers, the deep red numbers in the top right of your screens showing the gradient of the climb, showing how difficult it is. And it was make or break for those riders, wasn't it, at the lower slopes of the climb, whether they would make the junction to that leading group. And it strung things out again because it's looking like that they're not going to be able to get back this time, let's say, at the moment to this leading group, because their time gap has gone back out to 21 seconds. And at the front and the head of affairs, it is Kulczynski, Nelson, Godby, Monali Keller, who are pushing the pace at the moment on this Queen of the Mountain, as they have roughly around 400 meters until they crest the top of the Queen of the Mountain, and then they'll make that ever so slight downhill over the other side. But this is that chasing group again with the 3 riders from Wahoo Lacol and Charlotte Backus of Team 2024 as we head back to the front of this leading pack.
Well, and I think that riders like Alexei Snover received their welcome to the big time, as right now Kristen Kulczynski and Jackie Godby are turning the screws here. You can see Courtney Nelson has made it. Now, Courtney Nelson is a rider we haven't talked about much, but absolutely is going to be a part of the final conversation. That's going to be Monali Keller here, the Canadian with the orange cap in the Aeonian kit. No surprise to see, we really have, at this point now, separated the wheat from the chaff. Take a look at this front group. 2 of these riders actually make it 3 of these riders were in the top 10 at the most recent World Esports Championships. Kristen Kolchinski finished 9th in that race. Jackie Godby was right behind. So Laura Matson-Coe, who is not racing with us, was up there, but Jackie Godby had a top 5 ride there, and that was the feature climb of that World Championships that they just went over, the forward KOM climb. This is your group of gladiators right now, wattage gladiators here. Courtney Nelson, very happy to be in this group. I think the outlier here, coming out of the community, let's honor this ride from Liz Van Houweling today, as she is punching above her weight, Hannah. Jackie Godby is the rider that we're back in with. So Jackie here comes in as a prohibitive favorite. As a matter of fact, if it was a summit finish, you might look a little bit more at Kolchinski, but the way this course plays out, this is almost tailor-made for Jackie Godby. Throwing it back to you, Hannah, this is really a dynamic moment in the race.
For Godby, she's a rider who can perform across all terrains, though, isn't she? When we look back to the ZRL Premier Division when she won in Richmond at the top of the cobble climb, I think it was on Libby Hill, where she timed it to perfection. She came round in the final around 75 meters, and again, that was another summit finish. But as you say, she's got such raw power for today's finish. She just has to juggle the 2 Queen of the Mountains, 2 down, 2 to go. One of the longest ones, 2.5 kilometers at an average gradient of 1.8%. And of course, we've just seen the final Queen of the Mountain that the riders will have to tackle just then. That was 900 meters at an average gradient of 5%, but with gradients of upwards of 11%. So those lower slopes really do the damage to the riders at the moment. As we take a look at Stephanie Sidlick, a rider who's just got herself back on over the top and onto the descent after that Queen of the Mountain, and she's firmly cemented herself back in this leading group.
Well, and a real good sign that you're a world-class athlete, Hannah, is watching her heart rate coming down so quickly, almost like a biathlete who's settling in with the air gun on the snow. Her heart rate went from 170 to 158 during that last little commentary segment that you had. That's 12 beats that it dropped. That's incredible. There's 8 riders in this group. Only 6 of them get to punch their ticket to Worlds. Now, some of them would most likely be chosen by their national federation, especially after a ride that they've had out here today, and that's certainly noteworthy here. Even if you don't make the top 6, if you're riding in this group with Catherine Curie, Kristen Kolchinski, Stephanie Sidlick and company, you certainly deserve to be racing at Worlds. You've proven that. It's just, I don't know if you play the game musical chairs over in the United Kingdom,
Oh,
Hannah,
we do. Oh, we certainly
you
do.
do. So this is a brutal cycling version of that game. There's 6 seats and 8 people. Only 6 of them get a chance to sit down. So we have a chance to, again, cover what is a very strong field. This is going to be the Snover group that we're jumping in with. Alexei Snover here is the rider in the purple jersey. At 18 seconds back, Hannah, can they rejoin?
It's certainly possible, isn't it? Because these 4 riders, they're getting themselves organised. Alana Brady, Ashley McIntosh, Megan Aisler, and Alexi Snover. They're sharing this workload between the 4 of them. So it is, it is well possible that they can get themselves back into contention as long as they do it before we get to the next Queen of the Mountain. I have to say, once we get to that point, and if they're not back in the leading group, well, I'm afraid to say, it would look enticingly possible that it's not going to be possible for them to get to the front group again. But if they can keep this cohesion between this group, because you can almost just see them there in the distance, that leading group. So they have them in the sights already as they start to climb again. So if they can have that motivation, because they can see them out front, they have that carrot, don't they? Something to chase, and mentally. As a rider, it just gives you that extra power, the extra watts that you need.
Yeah, completely agree. So, and if these women are willing to share the workload, and they clearly are, I wouldn't count them out quite yet. I have a feeling that Alexei Snover might have had that moment where being on the wrong wheel at the wrong time, the gamification of Zwift and what it takes on esports. There's a huge mental aspect to this as well. So this is the chase group that we're looking at now. It's a strong group. As we go back to the front, I have a feeling that Kristen Kolchinski today, who does have her teammate in the group, Shayna Paulus, she's got to like the fact that Paulus is still in this group. She's on an incredible day. Shayna Paulus is racing now. Actually, it's funny. Shayna Paulus is a hard person to keep track of, as her partner plays in the National Football League here in the United States, and he's been traded a few times. She's in Texas. He must be playing for the Cowboys these days, but she would certainly be a rider that Krista Kolchinski would like to see stay in this group. And I wonder, does Kolchinski throttle back a little bit on the climb, not wanting to put her teammate in trouble? But obviously, Shayna Paulus can more than hold her own. Back to you, Hannah.
Do you know what would be interesting as well? Because let's not forget, these two riders won't be teammates next year in 2022. Shayna Paulus, of course, has just signed a new contract with the Legion of Los Angeles. So these two riders won't be teammates. Perhaps, do they want to help each other out, even though they're still currently teammates at the moment? Or does Kolchinski think, well, actually, no, I'm going to go completely solely for myself here. I'm going to ride as an individual. I'm not going to ride as a team. In 2024, because I want to just look after myself. I want to qualify myself for this World Championships. It'd be interesting,
Yeah,
an interesting scenario to look at.
it really is, Hannah. I have a feeling as you see Kolchinski deploying her lightweight power up, she'll be 10% lighter for 15 seconds. Now, I have a feeling Kolchinski is someone who's shown a lot of gratitude for the help that she's received getting to this point. When Nicola Kramer brought her onto the team, Shayna Paulus was one of the most welcoming riders. I 100% get where you're coming from. I have a feeling that Kolchinski would like to repay some favors as well, as she's made her way up into the hierarchy of racing on esports. There's no question that she is one of the very elite group, that vanguard. Right now, she's forcing some other riders to chase. Hopefully, Shayna can just sit on in this group, as Kolchinski is relentless. There is no question. It's mind-blowing to me that she's able to get on her MacBook and type a message to someone. The fact that, first off, I mean, there's many reasons why I would never even imagine doing that, but sweat dripping on the keyboard would be one. As we take a look now at Jackie Godby there in the black Saris jersey, that's going to be moving up to the front. Stephanie Sidlick, who's on a fantastic day out here today, quietly sitting in this group. The Aeonian rider, do not sleep on Monali Keller. She's a big talent, and both Keller and Easler, who live on the west coast of the United States, have been doing a lot of cyclocross racing as well out in the mud. So they've got a wide array of cycling events that they love to do. And Jackie Godby, to tell you the truth, Hannah, has been Zwifting at 4 o'clock in the morning before she goes and heads in to her internship. She's working in a hospital now.
She is. She has.
Time is
It's impressive, isn't it, to see the different time zones that riders have to be up and be racing at to try and perform at the early hours of the morning. And we see it, week in, week out, and it's, mightily impressive. Worth noting as well, Nathan Guerra, who is covering the America's men's race tomorrow, his picks are, picked Brady, Godby, Curry, if it is a sprint, but thinks Kolchinski is going to make it hard to make sure that it doesn't go down to a sprint. We could say a bunch sprint, but a very reduced sprint from this group. So interesting and great to hear the thoughts of Nathan Guerra. But he thinks, Brady, Godby, Curry, if it's a sprint, to qualify.
Yeah, if she's there when they spin, Nathan would know better than anyone. He's been watching this racing since moment one. He was there for the genesis. I would have to say that Jackie Godby is, all things being equal, the rider to beat in this group, without any question in my mind. But Nathan's points are certainly more than valid. Taking a look at this front group here, we have just hit the middle part of this race. One lap of racing remaining now for our women's field. Again, 6 riders qualify to make it into the Esports World Championships representing their nation. Gotta love Liz Van Houweling as well. Use that term punching above your weight. Well, that this is the last time I think I'll have a chance to use that saying with her, because she's arrived at the very, very high level here. If you're in this group, you're a world-class esports racer.
You certainly are. When you take a look at the 8 riders in this group now: Kulczynski, Sidlik, Curry, Nelson, Paulus, Godby, Keller, and then with Van Hooling in this group now. These are some of the best riders, esports riders of the Americas continent, and at the moment they only have a few riders around, still the same 4 riders who are roughly 17, 18 seconds in arrears. Megan Eastler, Alexi Snova, Ashley McIntosh, and Alana Brady. And at the moment, the group behind there, Esther Boville, 49 seconds further back than that group. So at the moment, these 8 riders probably starting to get a little bit, sort of thinking, how can I beat this rider? What is my, how am I going to play this one? How am I going to use my tactics, my strengths, my attributes to be able to try and qualify within the top 6? With 8 riders here, it could be touch and go. We've also got some riders who are exceptional climbers. Will they want to try and get rid of some of perhaps the more pure sprinters out of this group? Perhaps Shayna Paulus, she's going to have to work tremendously hard to stay in over the top of the climb. But once she gets towards the finish, her sprint is exceptional.
Yeah, it's really fascinating, isn't it? If she can make it over the top of that final climb, she becomes the rider to beat, to me, Hannah. But you have to get to that threshold. You have to be in the front group to have a chance to sprint for the win. Liz Van Houweling has got to be ecstatic with the performance that she's putting together. We're back in now with our Chase 1. This is Megan Eastler pulling through, racing out of Corvallis, Oregon, as we take a look at Megan. Just slaying herself right now. There is no quit in that tiger. That is for sure, Hannah. So these ladies not throwing in the towel. They realize the incredible opportunity. And again, noting that even if they don't make the catch, they're showing the quality of character that I would be looking for if I was a selector for the U.S. national team.
Certainly.
They might be doing themselves a big favor by keeping their head in the game.
Yeah, certainly, and that determination to not give up, because they can just start to begin to
Wow.
see that leading group up ahead in the Ocean Boulevard. That time gap has dropped from 17 seconds; it's now 10 seconds, Dave. And look at this from Megan Eastler. She can see it. She's got that motivation. She's got that confidence that she's able to try and close this gap. And once again, they need to try and close that gap before they get to the next Queen of the Mountain. As we've seen in the European Continental Qualifiers, as we saw on the previous Queen of the Mountain in this Pan America's Continental Qualifiers, once they get to the Queen of the Mountain, it's almost all the work is undone. It unravels, because that leading group, they accelerate, they put the hammer down, and they extend their lead again.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, this is Alana Brady, Megan Eastler, working incredibly hard with Ashley McIntosh, and certainly they're going to make the catch here. This is awesome. It really is. And we saw this in the European race as well. This is your never give up, never say die moment, as Megan Eastler now turning herself absolutely inside out to go from station to station. She is rejoining the front group. This is a significant benchmark moment. This is awesome to see that
Wow.
she just gets into that the heat map that we see. She's going to go over the top and attack now. Megan Eastler is in fuego out here. What
Wow.
a ride. So she certainly gets a gold star.
That is incredible. Coming back from around 20 seconds, that group of 4 riders have just closed that gap. Megan Eastler, you just take a look at her data here in the bottom left of your screen. 188 beats per minute. That just shows you the type of effort that was required to try and close that gap. And now she needs to try and recover from that huge effort before we get to the next Queen of the Mountain. Try and just get a breather, sit in the wheels, try and make use of that draft effect. Make sure you rehydrate yourself as well, and try and cool that core body temperature. Hope that you've got many fans around you to try and keep yourself cool. Perhaps a couple of gels down you as well, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really the name of the game, is just try to get that heart rate down as much as you can after that massive effort. And this is where the gamesmanship really starts to come into play. As you can see, another surge. Now it looks like Kolchinski has hit out with authority here. So this is going to put everybody back on their heels again. Jackie Godby, it looks like, is going to try to get up onto that wheel. Monalique Keller is not messing around. Liz Van Houweling having an incredible ride, keeping herself in the conversation. But we're back in with Kolchinski. Hannah,
You,
here we go.
you
This 8-rider group is being whittled down. Kolchinski has hit hard here.
you can't underestimate the climb out of Ocean Boulevard because it's around 3-4% in gradient. But you can see when a rider has a slight acceleration, like Kristen Kolchinski just did, she can really start to do some damage. She's got a gap of 1.8 seconds to Catherine Curie. However, when you look at the damage being done behind, three riders who have just worked their socks off to get back into that leading group are now at around 3 seconds behind of Kolchinski. So that the damage really being done by Kolchinski here. Alexi Snova. We also have just then Brady, who was just in a difficult spot. But at the moment, just take a look at this. Kolchinski making this look so simple, so easy. But Dave, we know it certainly isn't. And she's almost, taking a huge risk, a huge bottle of water right next to her devices. Well, she loves playing with fire, doesn't she?
She's a risk taker, that's for sure. I'm not sure where the reward is. Actually, the reward is a good cold drink. Kristen Kolchinski is a monster, no doubt about it. This is a big moment here. The rider that has kept her nose out of the wind, and to be honest, maybe the most savvy rider that we've got in the world of Zwift and esports is Catherine Curie. Catherine Curie is absolutely that rider that will help everyone else finish what's on their plate before she starts on hers. And that really is the name of the game, especially, Hannah, on a day like today where team tactics are really tossed out the window. This is every woman for herself as we take a look at that front group and look at how Curie positions herself. Again, I don't think that her nose has felt the wind, the virtual wind, in this entire race. Where the other side of that coin is the relentless Kristen Kolchinski. Just body blow after body blow being thrown by Kolchinski out here, trying to soften up this group. We're out on the last lap here. A couple more trips up these significant climbs will do more damage. There's no way this group this large goes to the line, in my mind, Hannah.
Catherine Curie out of the United States of America. You can see her data in the bottom left of your screen. 65 ride-ons. You can give all of these riders a ride on and show your support for them all. Open up your Zwift companion app, give them a follow, give them a ride on, give them some support and encouragement. But for Curie, she's a rider who has so much race experience, both in the esports world, but also IRL. She's a winner of the Geelong World Cup back in, I think, was around 2004, 2005. She was a former USA road race champion as well. She's a former professional rider. So she has this experience on both sides of the coin. She knows exactly how to save energy, how to be sort of consistent in her riding, but also to be economical and efficient in the way she rides, how to save that energy, where she needs to make the efforts, exactly where she needs to sit, and which riders she sort of needs to follow as well.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine two riders that are further apart on that spectrum. Krista Kolchinski is effervescent. She's the life of the party. She brings an incredible energy and is absolutely a risk taker. And that was what made that final race of the most previous ZRL season so thrilling to watch. Catherine Curie is methodical. Absolutely. The level. So she's one of those riders that is as smart as she is strong, and that's relatively rare out here. As we're back in now with another huge talent, Courtney Nelson has quietly kept herself as part of this conversation. This is now. So it's a very dynamic moment in the race here. Courtney Nelson is back with Monalique Keller here. That's going to be an interesting group that we're looking at. Kolchinski has opened up a 12-second advantage. I think that had the alarm bells ringing there for
It did.
Catherine Curie. 12 seconds at this point is enough that we've got to start putting some more riders up on the front. We can't play around with Kolchinski. She did this only 2 weeks ago. We can't let her have a repeat performance. That's what the rest of these riders are feeling.
But also because you start to see that the placings, the automatic placings, sorry, for the qualification are starting to go away. If Kulczynski has this lead and she's almost been given sort of a free ride that no one chases her down, no one makes it difficult for Kulczynski to stay away, there's only 5 more automatic qualifying spaces available. If you're not an out-and-out sprinter and it comes down to a reduced bunch sprint, well, it could make it awfully difficult for you to make sure that you do qualify and go through to the Esports World Championships at the end of February. So for these riders, they really need to start to think and make a calculation. How do they want this race to unfold as we see the kilometers tick down, Dave?
Kolchinski recently set a new 5-minute power record that has a lot of our elite men scratching their heads saying, ooh la la, at 6.4 watts per kilo for 5 minutes. That is astronomical. She's in her wheelhouse right now. Never bet against Kristen Kolchinski. We learned that. And right now, it's really interesting to watch that she's going to play these cards. The real benefit here very well could be for her teammate Shayna Paulus, able to sit in on the chase now. She's theoretically not going to have to quite do as much work, but there's no way to fake it up these climbs. You see the gradient starts to get steep. This is the QOM reverse that we're on for the final time here. The time gaps are going up, up, up. So Kristen Kolchinski has lit a rocket here, and Kolchinski racing out of New York State. She's out on Long Island using that aero power up perfectly. She understands how to play the game of Zwift as well as anyone. She's a level 50 Zwifter. That's a good look at the gap. I'm wondering, it's such a unique situation. 6 riders here qualifying for world championships. How many matches do you burn chasing back Kolchinski? Because you got to remember that you expose yourself. You do too much work out here, you might not be in that top 6 when this is all done and dusted. This
And
has become a Machiavellian chess match. Back to you, Hannah.
I think this is where you need to make that calculated decision. As you say, you can't be the sole rider or the rider to do the majority of the work in trying to bring back Kolchinski. You really need to think about yourself in this situation. Do you want to try and burn your matches, use your energy, use your stores to try and bring back one rider, or should you think, okay, well now I need to go to my next plan? How can I try and still qualify a place in this championship? 12 seconds. It starts to set steady this time gap to our sole leader Kolchinski, but at the moment, this climb, it really bites, doesn't it? Because you have the steeper gradients towards the lower slopes of the climb, then you have this section where the gradient really dips off. You're into almost a very slight descent before it starts to climb up and ramp up again before we crest the top of this Queen of the Mountain reverse. And here is Paulus, one of those riders who she doesn't have to do any of the work if she doesn't want to try and bring back Kolchinski. It is her teammate. They both have that same jersey, 2024, and she can just leave it up to these other riders to try and do the chasing. Van Hooling at the moment on the front in that black jersey, Curie in that pinkish jersey on the right hand side of the road, with Sidlick in the other pink jersey of Canyon Esports just up towards the front with the pink cap on.
Paulus looks fantastic today. She's definitely looking like a rider who's going to punch her ticket to the World Championship. She, as you said perfectly, Hannah, able to really take advantage of her teammate Kristen Kolchinski off of the front right now. Shayna Paulus is absolutely one of the best stories that we've got, not in esports, but in sports today. Both she and her brother Nielsen, who was 5th at the World Road Championships, have become such a great example of the empowerment of the indigenous people here in the United States. Shayna has made a huge effort to lift up the spirits of thousands and thousands of folks, and what a great role model she is. Originally from Sacramento, California, she also was part of the original high school mountain bike movement here. She's not new to racing, and again, one of the most talented multidiscipline athletes in the world. She can race on the mountain bike, on the road bike, and certainly here in esports. And this is going to feel good getting up and over the top of this climb. The gap has come down to 6.5 seconds. I think Kolchinsky's coming back into this group,
And
Hannah.
you can just see her making her way around that left-hand corner on the descent just there. So now you can see the time gap. It is coming down. 5.5 seconds now is the gap. And I think with this momentum from this chasing group and with this impetus on the descent and from these riders being able to just catch a glimpse of Crystal Konchinsky in the foreground, they'll want to try and bring back this rider from the USA in the blue colours of 2024. And Godby leads that chase. 4 seconds now is the time gap as you see the chasing group into the Super Tuck. And for Kolchinsky, she's not getting into the Super Tuck at the moment. She's not taking advantage of an opportunity to rest, recover, just gain a little bit of respite, just to try and save a little bit of energy, unlike the chasing group behind who are pushing upwards of around 65 kilometers per hour on this descent, Dave.
Yeah, showing a lot of maturity back in this group, Hannah, the chase group that's making the catch right in front of our eyes, is they did not panic in any way and did not burn any unnecessary matches as well. Big beneficiary of that, Liz Van Houweling and Courtney Nelson, as they have they're having the best ride in their esports career at this point. For our UCI Continental qualifiers here. This is the Pan Am women. Men will be racing tomorrow with 580 meters of climbing, nearly 2,000 feet of climbing out here over nearly 60K of racing. This is the selection, and the ultimate selection is still yet to be made. Let's do some inventory right now in this front group out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That's Stephanie Sidlick there in the Canyon kit, that well-known kit. You can see Monali, you got to give Monali Keller credit here as she's making her comeback to a very high level as the Aeonian rider. You can see in the green, purple, and blue. Shayna Paulus has her teammate, Krista Kolchinsky, back into this group, the other team with two riders. And maybe the prohibitive favorite, I think Jackie Godby was on everybody's short list. It's playing out Jackie Godby's way right now, Hannah.
It certainly is, and just the way that the race and the dynamic is unfolding at the moment, it is playing into her hands. Or she was up towards the front. She hasn't done a huge amount of work in terms of the massive effort to try and bring back Kolchinsky, but it is just playing and falling into the way that she really excels as a rider and as a racer. If this group of 8 all comes down to the finish together, she has to be the out-and-out fastest rider, most powerful rider in the group to try and win this UCI, this Continental qualifier for the UCI Esports World Championships. 6 riders, as we've mentioned, Dave, will progress subject to provisional results. And this morning, early this morning, we have the Oceania race where 5 riders, Vicky Whitelaw, Justine Barrow, Katie Banerjee, Imogen Alton, and Sarah Morrison provisionally secured their places in the Oceania Continental qualifiers, and just they will join the 10 riders from the European Continental qualifiers. Zoe Langham taking the victory earlier this afternoon, with Mary Wilkinson in second, Cecilia Hansen, Los Arequis, Melanie Maurer, Eiley Gardner, Alice Lethbridge, Lou Bates, Louise Huback, and Eleanor Weissman, the 10th riders to secure provisionally their places in the Esports World Championships in February, Dave.
Yeah, good to hear Louise Huback was the Huback attack was back as she took a season off with the ZRL. So that's encouraging, certainly also for the High Note team. I'm sure they're more than happy to have her talents back in the fold. Taking a look, it looks like the Sarah's team is activating things now. Again, Kolchinsky going to monitor things up near the front as she'll be really excited to get back onto that final climb and see what kind of damage she can do. But for 2024, Shayna Paulus is more than holding her own out here. A fantastic ride for Paulus. Boy, Catherine Curie, again, One of the things, Hannah, about Captain Curie is how savvy she is. And Curie is the kind of rider that you almost forget about up in this front group. She doesn't
And
waste one watt.
I think as a rider, what a perfect way to ride, to be sort of not the rider that's on everyone's lips, that you're able just to sit out of the way, you're able to just keep yourself as hidden as possible, just try and ride the wave or ride the S's. Um, but for Curie, just to try and save as much as possible, be efficient as a rider. Where do you inject some acceleration, some pace? Where do you position yourself in this small but mighty group?
Agreed. And, Hannah, I think it's fair to ask this question now. How much do you do to try to help another rider or your teammate? If you're Jackie Godby, that's a good example here. Do you worry about Courtney Nelson, or do you just have to think about yourself and your own ambitions of making this world's team? Now, Jackie Godby, based on the fact that she's one of the most talented American esports racers on Zwift, and certainly I would expect her to get a discretionary pick if she did not make this top six, but there's no scenario that I could imagine her not making this group. We're back in with another one of the Saris riders here. This is Megan Eastler that we're looking at. We talked about Megan racing out of Corvallis, where Oregon State University is, where she's studying hard. Megan Eastler is going to have some big days on a bike in her career. She just signed with a new professional team to race with on the road, the United team out of Texas, an Austin-based team. So that was a nice pickup for them.
She's
And
trying
this is
again, Dave, to try and close this gap along with Alexi Snovler, Alana Brady as well. And as they go across the bridge, just about to approach the arch, they're trying to close this gap. It was around 20 seconds, 21 seconds. They've closed it to 16. Again, if they can try and keep this cohesion, this momentum going to try and close the gap to the 8 riders out front. But Megan Eastler, she's not going down without a fight.
Yeah, and I could see her thumbs up. The ride-ons were going up, and she certainly deserves it. Hop on your companion app. We would love to have you there. I see more of you doing so. Get behind these riders. Your support means so much at this moment as we're down to 15 kilometers of racing as we make it through this little villa here. Jackie Godby, so much experience. And I'll be honest with you, Hannah. Jackie Godby, even though she works in healthcare, when she's on a bike, it's a Dr. Jekyll, Ms. Hyde thing. She is a stone cold killer out here. Does not show mercy, that's for sure. She does have grace, but not mercy in these moments. And Jackie Godby is looking to make a big impact here in the finale. 2024 wants to stand up, and that's going to be Sisu, I Race Like a Girl, and Captain Curie omnipresent up in this front group. Hannah, it's heartbreaking to think that 2 of these women will not punch their ticket. It's like being locked out of Disneyland, not making it up into that selection of the 6 riders that go to Worlds.
It certainly is, but for these riders, they're going to have to, of course, create their own fate. How are they going to race this one? They have to race to their strengths. There's a couple of riders in here who won't be phased if it came down to a bunch sprint. Shayna Powers, Jackie Godby, Catherine Curie, they know they can bank on their fast sprint. They also know that when they're patient, their timing, when they open up their sprint, they know they have that power to succeed. You have to take a look at some of the other riders who might not be able to be so confident on their out and out max power to make sure that they solidify their placing in the automatic qualifying.
Kristen Kolchinski's come a long way when you talk about the whole rider, and her sprint is nowhere near. I think that she would even discount her ability. Same thing with Stephanie Sidlick, where these are riders that it's not their forte, sprinting, but I would have to say that I think, again, coming a long way with the body of work and getting a good coach
Certainly is.
and training your weaknesses. Yep.
Certainly is, Dave. I think that's a huge point, isn't it? But also, learning week in, week out, gaining that experience, gaining that knowledge, having your sports director as well in your ear, giving you the the tactics, what's going on the road. Well, what decision should I make now? Perhaps as a rider, you have several scenarios going through your mind, but which one is the right one to go with? Should I make a move? Should I wait? How much more patient should I be? For Krystal Kuczynski, she tried to take it up early with still 22, 23 kilometers left remaining of the race. So I think there's so many different scenarios as a rider to think of, and also having that
Hannah,
pressure on your shoulders. Give as your sports director or your manager or your teammates giving you that confidence and backing yourself.
and think about the bump of confidence that you get from that win that she had in the last race of the ZRL season. She really has in a really a career that goes back for a couple of years racing seriously in esports. She's had two featured wins. One of them was back in a community race that we covered with Nathan Guerra, actually, where she outsprinted Chloe Dygert. Now, remembering that Chloe was coming back, actually, this was pre that world's injury that Chloe had. So that was a moment where certainly Kuczynski showed up on our radar as a potential, heavy, heavy hitter. But what she did a couple of weeks ago not only gives her confidence, but I think, Hannah, as a former professional rider yourself, there are plenty of riders that never really learn how to win at this level. You learn how to support other riders. You learn how to be a great team player, but learning how to close that deal out, it's a lot like sales. It's much harder to get that last couple percent that turns you into a winner versus just another rider who made the front group. It's
It's
really mental.
it certainly is, and it's having all of the aspects, all those marginal gains, all those 1% dialed as well, and having that tactical head on you as well, on your shoulders, that you know exactly where to be as we start to see one of those riders who tactically, wow,
Wow.
Megan Eastler
They're
has
back.
closed the gap for the second time. The rider from Team Saris has closed the gap. This is so impressive. Along with Brady as well, she's got back in the mix, as has Alexi Snova. So the four riders have closed the gap, Dave, for the second time in this race, and they do have a little bit of time before we get to the next Queen of the Mountain. 12 riders in this group, only 6 places available. This is going to be close. This is going to come to the wire, and I think this is going to throw another tactic into the dynamic of today's Pan American Continental qualifiers.
What a thrilling race. You have to say, folks like Alana Brady, Alexei Snover have made their mark out here today, and it's based on perseverance, dedication, and heart, no doubt. Megan Eastler is like that house guest that will never go away. When you think she's left, she's back again. You see her RV parked out in front of your house. She just never leaves. I love what Megan Eastler has pulled off today, and she'll make another Saris rider up in this front group. So Saris now is back to having 3 riders riding in this front group. They've got the numbers and they've got the horsepower there. As without any doubt, Jackie Godby is one of your top 3 riders. Now, it's not so much about the win, it's about getting up into the top 6 today. But Megan Eastler showing tremendous heart.
I'd be interested, Dave, just to see whether that was an ice pack that she just put down the back of her neck there, just to try and cool herself down, because you can see this has been such a hard, difficult race here. Her heart rate is coming back down after that tremendous effort. And I think she needs a few more ride-ons.
She
Just
needs
taking a look there,
ride-ons. Yeah.
35 ride-ons. Well, this rider deserves a ton more than she currently
Well,
has, Dave. Well, everyone needs to open up their Zwift companion app and give this rider some support. There we go. We're starting to see them bulk up just a little bit. 37 ride-ons now, but she certainly deserves way more than she currently has got.
Well, I'm opening up my companion app. I'm typing in Easler, and I am going to send her one because I am really impressed by what we've seen from Megan out here today. Again, another full-time student who's been working incredibly hard. I mean, it's a very, very busy time of year, and she is throwing down. So there's my ride-on coming her way. There it is.
Likewise, there we
Perfect.
go.
Yeah.
There goes mine
I'm a big
too.
So that's how you can get involved out there, folks. Believe me, you make a big difference. So I'm sure you've got a favorite up in this group, whether it's Megan Easler or not. Send your support their way. Typically, you'll see Kristen Kolchinski, who's built up a tremendous fan base. She might hit 300. Look at that. She went from 30 to 50 just in that last couple of minutes. You folks out there are absolutely awesome. This community is incredible. This is the third time that they wrote Megan Easler off as dead, and she's been able to fight back. She is the Lazarus of this race out here today. Alana Brady, hey, I would like to give a shout out to as well. Alana Brady, also out of the Seattle area, raced in our Zwift community. And look at these ride-ons going up right now. I am really impressed by our community out here. And I bet you Megan Easler, when she goes back and watches this, will feel even better about her effort out here today. A breakthrough performance. This is our front group, and we're down under 10K of racing. Even our friend Matt Stevens just sent one in too. So Matt practicing what he preaches.
Oh, isn't it just a wonderful community here? Everyone giving each other support, and as I mentioned before, in the European Continental qualifiers, the ride-ons. This is community supporting these riders. You don't have the crowd IRL where you can hear and bang on the boards and shout and cheer for your favorite riders as they zoom past you through the finishing straight or through up the Queen of the Mountain. But this is your way of supporting these riders, giving them that cheer on as Megan Easler up towards 84 ride-ons now. She gets some of the last nutrition on board, a bar there, and some fluids as well to rehydrate herself. She knows that she wants to try and stay in this leading group now. 9.3 kilometers to go. She's chased back on 3 times. 3 times she's been successful, but she wants to try and remain here. And it is Jackie Godby who is up towards the front, pushing on the pace.
I have to think that Kristen Kolchinski right now is tapping on the gauge, taking a look at how much fuel is left in the tank, and ready to absolutely deploy a massive attack. It's coming. There's no doubt about it, like a ticking time bomb. Jackie Godby is ready to defuse that bomb. Godby is absolutely positioned. This is the scenario that she's looking for now. I can't imagine that anyone would have more confidence than Jackie Godby, racing out of Chicago, Illinois, who really took the esports world by storm last year and has maintained such a high profile out here. This is any woman's race right now. We talk about 2 things here: winning the outright race and the pride that goes along with that. But even more importantly, there are 6 spots for 12 women now in this group. So it's going to be a battle royale at this point. These riders that have fought back, I have to give that tip of the cap to Alana Brady, Alexi Snover, and certainly Liz Van Houweling. These are some names that are becoming more and more familiar, and it's really nice to see some fresh names up here in this group. But it's the usual suspects like Kolchinski, Godby, and Curie. And, those 3 names right there, Hannah, if you're going to box the trifecta, as they say, in no particular order, but picking the top 3 today, I think that I'd lock it down on those 3 names.
They have to be up there, don't they? And then let's not forget about Ashley McIntosh, another one of those riders who has fought and fought and fought her way back to this front group. She's there. We have 12 riders starting the final Queen of the Mountain of the day. 900 meters and an average gradient of 5%. And they'll make this right turn and the gradient will reach a maximum of 11%. You'll start to see those deep red numbers as it really starts to bite these riders at the moment. Catherine Curie starts to make her move, as does Liz Van Houweling. You're starting to see the orange numbers of their watts per kilogram start to go up as Curie, she drops her lightweight power up at the moment. She'll have that for 15 seconds. It's run out, but here she's making her way up towards and through this Queen of the Mountain. She has a 1 second time gap to Liz Van Houweling and Jackie Godby. Powerless as well, trying to close this gap. Godby, just look at that, with ease. She closes the gap, the rider from Team Saris. At the moment, she closes that 1 second gap, but again, some damage has been done and riders have exploded all over this Queen of the Mountain, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. Right here, right now. This is your moment. As we say, it is on like Donkey Kong. And Catherine Curie has got a stack of quarters. She is just fine sitting on this group. Shayna Powless has got to be chuffed. No doubt about it. Powless very, very happy. She's got her teammate Kristen Kolchinski riding shotgun with her. So 2024 has put two up in this group. Jackie Godby is there quietly sitting at the back of this group. And this might be your outlier rider talking about Monali Keller there. Monali Keller has done the minimum amount of work required to be sitting up in this front group. And as you well know, Hannah, that is the name of the game. We're going to punch through now 7.3 kilometers of racing until this one is done and dusted. What an absolute Donnybrook this is going to be, Hannah.
It certainly is, and one rider who was just starting to be tailed off she was around 3 or 4 seconds behind. Stephanie Sidlick has fought her way back into contention, so still 8 riders here in this leading group. Our 4 other riders who had only just recently got back on a few kilometers before. McIntosh, Brady, Snova and Aisler are now 16 seconds in arrears, so that effort that has started to play against them. But at the moment, look at ease. Kristen Kolchinski is of Team 2024. She's just sitting next to her teammate Shayna Powless at the moment with 6.7 kilometers remaining. And she just looks so calm and comfortable, doesn't she, Dave?
She really does. Very, very classy in her ability to stay calm out here. And that's been a process, no doubt about it. I still now look at Catherine Curie here. Catherine Curie has the strength of 5 women, to tell you the truth. She basically, in the last couple of weeks, Hannah, has been showing up at the WTRL team time trials on Thursdays and racing with 2 other women against squads of 8 and still holding on and winning. She's an absolute monster. But the fastest woman in this group, if it comes down to a sprint, very well could be the pride of California, Shayna Powless here. Shayna Powless has done an amazing job to get over these 4 climbs here, and it has been a rugged, rugged journey to get to this point. But once the horse can smell the barn, everything changes. And I got to say, Shayna Powless now is that rider. She should be feeling more motivation than anyone and trust in the process. She's done her work. And now she might get a crack at a massive win for her and the 2024 team. But Jackie Godby certainly is looking to become the dream crusher out here once again.
Well, for me, Shayna Powless is on a top day, a really good day, because if you saw the way that she rode that final Queen of the Mountain of the day, she didn't use her power up early on in the greater slopes of the climb. She waited, she followed the wheels, she used her lightweight power up towards the top of the climb. She just surfed those wheels almost at ease, and she looks comfortable. You see it in her pedaling style, the way she's riding, her body language as well, the way she is. She's just getting herself ready into the super tuck by the looks of things. She's just starting to adjust herself. She looks good. She looks comfortable. And I think when a rider has that confidence and they feel good, it certainly plays dividends, and she packs a real good punch. She's got that speed to finish the job off towards the back end of the race as well, Dave.
Yeah, and it looks like she's positioning herself right now. She drops down into a super tuck. Now you need to be going over 58 kilometers per hour. Look at that, though, as Shayna Powless really taking advantage of that. The gradient needs to be at 3% or more, which it is, and you have to stop pedaling. Kristen Kolchinski is not going into the super tuck as we take a look at our front group. Again, great job today, Simon, Russell, Bet, Naomi, and Johnny. We really have a team. We stand on the shoulders of giants to put this production together. You see that arrow feather up being deployed right now. So that's, I should say, the feather. We don't have a feather up, a power up right there as she'll reduce her weight by a little bit. We should have a feather up.
I love it. I love it. Maybe it's for the next game that's introduced.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. Well, all right, Hannah. At this point now, in your mind, can anyone attack and get away from this group? I think no.
Well, you never know. We still have the S's to come, don't we? Is any rider going to try and use the the final time through the S's as a springboard to try and attack and gain some time before we dip down into the finish. We still have, those couple more opportunities for riders to take their chance, ride to their strengths, ride to their attributes. Perhaps Kolchinsky wanting to go for a long one. If we know that if she wants to try and accelerate and put that explosive power down, the S's would be the perfect place and opportunity for her to do so. And as we start to see the gradient ramp up 5% now, we see this. It looks like Godbeat coming up towards the front at the moment in that black kit of Team Saris.
There are a couple of riders in this group that are moms and have got their kids cheering for them. I'm hearing, you know what I love, Hannah? Our entire team is on the edge of their seats. It is absolutely cool to see Nathan and Matt jumping in with their picks here. The entire production crew has got their favorites, and I hope you do out there at home as well, because this is it, the finale coming our way. 6 riders here will punch their ticket and have a chance to represent either the United States or Canada at the World Championships coming up in late February right here on Zwift. Shayna Powless is one of the riders that has got to be ecstatic to be in this position, as she very well could have a massive win out of this group. Stephanie Sidlick, you can see that her power-up has been deployed now. So Stephanie Sidlick there trying to take advantage of everything she can, try to freshen up the legs. Hannah, here we go. We are locked and loaded. This is not a drill. This is the front end of a massive opportunity for some of these riders.
Out of the Italian villas for the very last time. Riders using their power-ups, they'll have the final opportunity, I think, through this sprint arch, which will be coming up in a few hundred meters. They'll be hoping, I think, for that aero power-up before they go into the S's, perhaps over the bridge, and that slight drag as they make that right turn could be a good platform for a rider to launch something. If they don't want to see this come down to a bunch sprint, you can almost feel the nerves, feel the tension in this leading group of 8 riders as they go underneath that archway. And just take a look at that. Shayna Powless using her power up, that lightweight power up, just right on time.
Yeah, that feather reduces her body weight by 10%. So that's savvy. I'm sure that wherever Nathan Guerra is, he was applauding that as she used that all the way through the arch. So her power-up was being used as it was reloading in the bank right behind her. That's a savvy Zwifter, no doubt about it. Let's take some inventory here. Catherine Curie, the former U.S. Road National Champion. Jackie Godby is here, one of the dominant esports racers of her generation. Breakthrough, one of our 2 moms in this group. How about Liz Van Houweling's ride here today, as she is certainly making her mark? Out of California, Courtney Nelson. This has been a phenomenal ride from Nelson out here today. We've mentioned 2024, Kristen Kolchinsky and Shayna Powless riding in the front group. The chase now with Ashley McIntosh, Alana Brady, and Alexi Snover, with the irrepressible Megan Isla right behind. This is Kolchinsky now, inside of 2K to go. The penultimate kilometer has begun.
Well, just take a look at that. She didn't want to wait. She wanted to try and string things out. And Dave, shock. Jackie Godby is currently a second and a half behind this group of 7. What, Jackie Godby, has she just been caught napping? Has she got a problem? At the moment, she's at 2 seconds in arrears. This is not what we expected from Jackie Godby, the rider from Team Saris in the black kit. But at the moment, the damage which was caused by Kristen Kolchinsky, wow, we did not expect that at all.
Got her on the back foot right now, no doubt about it, as we come up on 1K to go. Monali Keller's got to be loving that. And there you go, Jackie Godby is now attacked off of the front as we come up on 1K to go. Jackie Godby has hit out. You can see Kolchinsky is going to cover and kill that move. So it's just body blow after body blow being thrown at the front. Oh, the red kite comes up quickly. Monali Keller is starting to insert herself into the conversation. This is any woman's race. This is heartbreaking to think that 2 of these ladies won't get that golden ticket to Worlds. It right now is survival of the fittest as we take a look at the group back together now. They've brought Godby back into the fold. Catherine Curie moving up. Back to you, Hannah.
Well, this is a moment for these riders. You know, it's got to be patience as well. As we get to 760 meters remaining, we'll have this slight downhill before it starts to level off with around 300 meters to go. Who can gain as much speed? Be patient. Be waiting. What power up have these riders got under their underneath their sleeve as well? As Liz Van Hooling, she leads things at the moment. But just take a look at this. The rider from Ionian, she drops her power up, her aero power up. That's Mona Lee Keller. She's opening up things early, Dave, as Liz Van Hooling versus Catherine Kerr. Just take a look at this. Van Hooling, 11.7 watts per kilogram, Dave.
Wow. And she has the arrow, so she is slippery right now. This is going to be one a huge upset, but no, it's going to be Paulus. Shayna Paulus comes through and punches her ticket to Worlds. Shayna Paulus in 2024 getting the win. That was a massive, massive effort from Paulus. Congratulations, Shayna.
Wow, that was quite phenomenal to see how early Liz Van Hurling opened up her sprint. She gained such a large gap and a large advantage over second place. But Shayna Powell is coming with so much speed and power there to come through and win the Pan America's Continental qualifiers for the Esports World Championships. Well, there we go. Just take a look. That's the effort that it took from Paulus. And I think we are going to take a quick replay of how that sprint opened up here
Pure class, no
into
doubt.
Watopia. Yeah,
Yeah, so
certainly
Lisbeth
was.
Howling went out hard early, and that really set the table for Shayna Paulus. You can see Van Howling's going to get the ticket. Kolchinsky comes through. Boy, I think Stephanie Sidlick. So at this point now, you have to be petitioning the U.S. selectors because Sidlick certainly, especially knowing that that New York course will suit her, deserves a ride. Let's take a look then at how it all played out. Shayna Paulus taking the win. What an effort. And look at how efficient she was today, making 3.3 watts per kilogram, less than any other rider up here in our top 10. Jackie Godby, no surprise, taking the silver. Liz Van Howling has a breakthrough ride to take the bronze medal. Kolchinsky doing just enough to make sure that she'll be back at Worlds to go after a better ride than her ninth place last year. Monali Keller, the first Canadian across the line, and Catherine Curie will grab that final spot just in front of Courtney Nelson in seventh, Stephanie Sidlick eighth, Alexei Snover in ninth. But wow, Hannah, what an incredible, incredible race that was.
It certainly was. And Ashley McIntosh rounding out the top 10 there in the results. And you spoke about earlier, Dave, of Curry. She knows exactly how to race, how to finesse, how to save as much as possible, and always just doing enough. She's such an experienced rider coming in there, being the final rider to make the qualification in sixth place. I mean, what a race that was! That was thrilling. I think we're just
Yeah,
going to
perfect
go and
time.
talk to Catherine Curie. And right on time, here she is. Catherine, congratulations. Sixth place there in the Pan American Continental qualifiers. How was it out there? Because it was starting to feel the tension going into the finale.
Yeah, I dropped down to the community league this year with Sisu, and I know I have so much respect for those Premier League gals. So this is my first time racing against them, and I've seen how competitive it's been. And yeah, it's, you know, wow, just the cream of the crop for the Americas. And it's so great to see Zwift support the women both on and off their platform. And it's such an honor to race against these women. And yeah, wow.
Catherine,
Catherine,
in our
11 years ago. Oh, sorry, Dave. I just want to
oops,
say 11 years ago, Catherine, you raced at the Road Race World Championships in Australia, representing the USA. And now you've qualified yourself to race in New York for the Esports World Championships at the end of February. How does that feel?
Ah, it's a little surreal. Um, if anyone had asked me 11 years ago that I would be putting on the USA kit to represent us in another world, I would have laughed. Um, but Zwift has really allowed me to kind of scratch that competitive itch and kind of get back into racing, which I've really enjoyed. And yeah, it's kind of crazy at 47 years old to be racing against some of these amazing women. But yeah, it's just an honor on so many different levels.
Thanks a lot, Catherine, and congratulations. We'll
Incredible.
look forward to seeing you in New York. We're going to jump over and grab a word with Jackie
Thanks, guys.
Godby now. Yeah, thank you, Catherine. So, Jackie, again, a perennial contender out here. I apologize. I think we're going to go to Seattle and grab a word with our top Canadian out there today. Way to Canuck up, Monali Keller, as unfortunately, Monali just disconnected as well. So we'll hopefully have a chance to grab a word with Monali here, as that'll be a big day. I think we've got Megan Eastler and I think Corvallis, Oregon. Megan certainly was one of the big stars out there today, showing a tremendous amount of heart. Megan, great job out there. You guys fought back a few times. Was that group that you're working with? It looked like you had a lot of motivation to keep your head in the fight.
Yeah, I mean, we seem to be working together pretty well.
That is unfortunate. Unfortunately, yeah, I think Megan went so hard today that they're probably repairing the power grid in her neighborhood after all of those efforts. I apologize for that technical there, but you know what? For all of these riders out here, that was a tremendous show that they put on it. Congratulations to those, Hannah, that qualified. But riders like Megan Eastler or Alexei Snover, Ashley as well, they certainly make a good case for their chance to ride at Worlds when the selections are made.
They certainly do, and for any of the selectors watching today's race, they have to be well in contention for those remaining spots for the USA national team. I mean, when you take a look at the way that they race and their determination and their fight and will to not give up despite losing that front group. But again, I think she's going to fight back on, because I think we're going to grab another chat with Megan Eastler. I think we've got her back. Let's head back to her pain cave. Megan, you're back. Congratulations. And yeah, just to come off the back of Dave's question, I mean, how was that out there? You certainly didn't give up without a fight.
Yeah, it definitely.
Oh
Oh,
no,
a shame. I think
unfortunately.
we've lost her
So
again, Dave. Take it on.
yeah, yeah. So again, I'd love to hear Megan's thought on that, because she certainly is one of those riders that's got a great trajectory right now. She's young, she's motivated, and clearly, I think maybe even most importantly, when you're talking with Catherine Curie here, these women have to love racing their bikes, and it really showed out there today. What a tremendous show that is to watch. I mean, you really lose yourself during the race. And for me, it's no different than watching a stage at Tour de France. Once we get down to this level, they are completely committed to this effort. And Megan Eastler's got a bright future.
And they certainly, and they completely immerse themselves in this world, from everything to making sure that they've done the recon of the course. They've got their tactics set out, but also making sure that they have all of their supplies by their side, with plenty of hydration, some gels, making sure that they have plenty of fans to keep themselves as cool as possible.
Let's go and grab a word with Shayna Paulus, today's winner. So I believe we had Shayna Paulus lined up, as we'll see if we can grab a word. Unfortunately, we just lost Shayna as well. My question for Shayna, Hannah, I'll get your thoughts on this, would be once you went over the crest of the forward KOM the final time, did she feel like the race had fallen into her favor when she was in that front group? Was she that believing in her sprint? What do you think she would answer to that?
One thing that was incredible for me was, and you mentioned it in the results, was how low her average watts per kilo was at 3.3. That was considerably less than any of the other riders in the top 10. And I think you see that efficiency as a rider, knowing exactly where to save energy, where you can save watts, just doing enough. And I think that was the key for today, making sure that she did enough so that come the finish, she had so much left in the tank that she blew them all away.
Yeah, another thing I like to look at here is the collective body of work. And actually, it sounds like we've got Shayna online. Shayna, congratulations! That was a big one. How does this one stack up in your body of work here? This was a big win, and certainly such a strong group that you're going to the line with. How do you feel as you take out a big win out here today?
It was
All right, I'm
definitely
just
a really fun race. I love the climbing is always a bit of a challenge, but I feel like the finish was absolutely perfect for me because I'm definitely more of a sprinter than I am a climber, and I feel like I always manage to have a good kick at the end of every Zwift race. So I'm just really glad I was able to hold on till the end with the front and have good enough legs for a sprint at the end and take the win.
Did it help at all having Kolchinsky forcing them to chase? Did you get to sit in? We're talking about how your Zwift efficiency was just off the charts today. Speak to that. What were you doing right up to the finale that helped put you in such great position?
Yeah, I mean, Kristen had an amazing race as well. She threw a huge attack midway through the race and managed to stay away for a little while. And once she did that, I just took the opportunity to kind of just sit in with the group and kind of just let other people chase without being at the front too much. And yeah, I mean, Kristen's such an awesome teammate, and she's super strong all around. And it's been super fun racing with her all year, and it was kind of fun to use that kind of big attack pad as kind of a tactic for me to save some energy and then kind of save a bit more for the end. But yeah, it was super fun. I'm super happy for Kristen, who qualified as well, had a good finish, and yeah, I'm just really happy overall with how it went.
We've talked, this will be our final question with today's winner here, Shayna Powles. Shayna, representing the United States at the World Championships. Can you talk about how that feels for you? I know your brother just raced at Worlds and had a top 5. I'd imagine you're looking to do a little bit better than that. You've been competing against him for most of your life, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, we've been bike racing together ever since we were old enough to start walking. So we've kind of just, we did all the same sports growing up, including cycling, and it's pretty cool to see him competing at the top world tour level with EF, and just seeing like him, you know, go up the ranks and seeing him kill it, especially this year in the Tour de France, and then getting a the top 5 at Worlds this year. It was just so amazing, and yeah, we're super supportive of each other always, and he was watching me race today as well too, so that was extra special.
It really is. Well,
Incredible.
congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah, well, Hannah, it doesn't get much
Thank
better
you.
than that, does it?
It certainly does. I
Thank
mean,
you,
to
Shayna.
have that family support, Dave, is incredible, isn't it? And I think, you know, having each other's back, supporting each other throughout both of their career. I mean, yeah, incredible, and what an incredible race there for Shayna Powless.
Well, another great day of racing here, but we're not done. A lot to look forward to. It continue into tomorrow as the men will get their chance. Hannah, still a lot of excitement to come here on Zwift. Sounds like actually we're able to get Jackie Godby. So let's go ahead and say hello to Jackie. Jackie, there you are. Hey, congratulations, Jackie, on another great ride. Hey, what happened there at about 2K to go as we saw you go off the back and have to chase back in? A little bit of a technical issue, or what happened?
No, Kristen launched a great attack, and I wasn't ready. John was telling me to go, and fortunately, you know, I've done that course enough. I knew in the back of my head, if I could just minimize that gap, you know, there was enough of a downhill that my weight was going to bring me back if I could just keep the power even. So, you know, great attack. I just wasn't ready, and I suffered a bit. Came in nail biter for me, definitely.
Hey, I think you're the right person to ask this, Jackie. Do you feel the level has come up in the last year? Would you have won that race last year? I mean, it seems like we've got a stronger field. There were a few names there that we were not really that familiar with, a couple of riders that are relatively new to this, and that's super encouraging as we try to grow the sport and get more people, particularly women, involved. Has the level gone up?
Yes, and I am so thrilled. I mean, that makes it more fun. Trading punches with new riders. If it stayed the same, no one would have fun. There would be no question. There would be no excitement. And as racers, we're here to do our best. And having such a strong field, having such dynamic, great competitors makes this fun, keeps this fun. And it's so exciting to see not only new talent harvested from Zwift, people who haven't done, the professional real life racing circuit, and then also see these professional real life riders who I'm like, oh my God, I saw you at the Olympics. I get to go toe to toe with you. And I think that makes a really exciting dynamic mix. So I'm having loads of fun here.
Yeah, no question. We were talking about it. Now, you're not in Chicago anymore, correct? You're
No.
working at a hospital somewhere?
Yeah. I'm actually in California, out here in Riverside. I'm doing my intern year as a doctor. So last night I was in the emergency department seeing kids with flus, sewing up cuts and stuff like that. So very different sort of outlook from Chicago, but definitely enjoying the 70-degree outside riding days.
Well, and it's interesting when you look at the strengths of esports, being time crunched and all of the things that you've going on in your life. It's still amazing that you're able to get such a high competitive level of racing in as well. It's got to feel great that you didn't have to give that up, I would think.
It feels absolutely fantastic. And I'll be completely honest, the format of esports has really enabled me to keep racing. Before this, I did professional triathlon, and I had fully intended to stop racing when I went into my 3rd and 4th years of med school, knowing that I couldn't keep up doing this, sort of half iron distance event with the time crunches of being a doctor. But e-racing filled that gap, and my program has been incredibly supportive, and it means so much to still be able to fill that racing sort of desire inside.
Well, we are very honored to have you racing with us again, Jackie. Congratulations on a fantastic ride, and good luck with everything you do, and thank you for what you do, and we'll look forward to seeing you in New York in late February. I think that we've hardwired a connection into Megan Easler's house, and we'll have a chance, hopefully, to talk with Megan. I love her story. Actually, you know what? Why don't we go and borrow Kristen Kolchinsky's sister's wireless and see if we can find Kristen. Was it strange to be racing not at home today, Kristen? Great job out there animating the race.
Thank you. I mean, it's always a blast. My internet has been so spotty the past couple of weeks, and I was like, I have to just go where I know the internet would be great. So my sister generously gave me her house again. I mean, it's great. I got the bar right there. I'm ready to celebrate.
There we go. After the final round of the ZRL, you needed the champagne out. You had to do it virtually with some imaginary champagne, but now you've got all of the drinks at hand. But Kristen, seriously, congratulations, 4th place in the Pan American Continental qualifiers, and you wanted to go long, didn't you? You went with around 23 kilometers, 24 kilometers still remaining of the race, and really wanted to shake things up. You got a gap of around 12, 13 seconds, and it was looking promising, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of, I just put the pressure down a little bit, and then I just kind of kept going, and then I saw the gap kind of open a little bit, and I was like, all right, I feel comfortable doing like a TT effort, and I, I was aware that if they were going to catch, like, make sure I have my speed up, because sometimes when they, fly by, the speed of the group will pass you. So, but yeah, I mean, it was super fun. My legs cramped up mid race, so I was kind of like, I was like, no. So I was hitting them, and they softened a little bit, but I was like having some trouble getting off my bike a little while ago. They weren't working.
So Kristen,
yeah.
now that you've qualified for the World Championships and the success that you had in the ZRL, it's going to be a very
Yeah.
different race for you mentally coming into it versus back the previous World Championships. How much are you looking forward to it, and how well do you think that the World's course suits you in late February in New York? It looks like your kind of course to me.
I mean, I'm very, very excited about this course. You know, I spoke to my coach, Josh, the other day, and, you know, I said, you know, that is like, you know, let's circle the calendar and start doing everything to kind of, to get me in the best condition for that race coming up. So yeah, I'm excited to have a few weeks to just kind of start weight training again and doing all the, making sure I get some good sleep and yeah, I'm so excited for that course though. It's going to be great. I'm excited to see I kind of like after the race, I didn't even really see results yet. So I'm excited to see who else qualified and give them a shout out and congratulations and everything. And I think it's going to be super fun. Yeah, I'm excited.
With roughly
have,
3 months to go until the World Esports Championships at the end of February, what do you do between now and then? You just said you've got, you know, perhaps a little bit of rest, but also trying to build up that training again to really make sure that when you get to New York at the end of February, you are in the best form and the best shape of your life.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna during Premier League, I kind of backed off my weight training just because my legs were sore all the time. So I'm gonna start doing that again. Just try to watch like how much I'm sleeping and doing all of the training that my coach has me do. And listening was a big problem of mine last year. I was doing always too much. so I'm being a good I don't know, student. I don't know what you call it. Yeah, so I'm just gonna put the work in and give it my all. Just really focus on it. So and we have Premier League as well coming back in January, so that's also on my calendar. Super excited for that. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Kristen. Just what the rest of the athletes needed to hear.
Thank
Kristen
you.
Kolchinski is going to start taking it seriously now, right? So
yeah, it wasn't. No, I just have learned so much.
no more
every
playing
week,
around,
so
right?
no more playing.
Well, thank
no
you,
more playing.
Kristen.
I'm coming for you.
Well, congratulations on
Congratulations,
another
Thank
great
you so
ride.
much. Thank
Hey,
you.
I think we've now got Megan Eastler ready to go. Megan, thank you for your patience. We really appreciate you taking the time to join us. Hey, you know, you showed a lot of heart today, Megan. I think our selectors will have to note that. What was going through your head as you were chasing back the second and third times out there today?
I kind of was just questioning myself, like, am I going to catch him or not? Because I'm looking at the gap and I'm like, okay, it's 20 seconds. Like, how hard do I have to go? So I'm like getting out of the saddle, sitting back down, getting out, and then I'm like, can I make it? Then I'm just like at the end, like, if I don't try, then the place that I'm at is what I'm going to get. Like, there's no letting the group go. Like, you just have to go and then hope that you catch them. But pain was definitely on the mind.
You know, you've had a really busy year between going to school and I know you've been at the Belgian waffle rides and racing cyclocross. What is it that's appealing about esports to you? Is it also, we were talking with Jackie Godby about this, being a time crunch person, it lets you to get your competitive mojo going, but in a time crunch time? Is that what is so appealing about this for you?
Yeah, I would say so. I actually left grad school to take a little break because of COVID, but I kind of got back into racing bikes through esports this last year just because it was so like easy to do. You're at your house, you just plug in your computer and you can race against like some of the top athletes in the world, and I think that's really cool.
And the result today, even though it wasn't enough to qualify you for Worlds, I think that you really did make an impact. Is getting on that Worlds team something that you'd still like to prioritize? Is that a dream for you?
I think it would be really cool. I kind of came in with like maybe low expectations. Like I've felt pretty fit, but I mean, whatever happens, happens. I'm just gonna try my best.
Well,
And you certainly did that
everybody.
today. I was going to
Yeah,
say, Dave, you
absolutely.
certainly did that today, Megan. You got back on 3 times. You never gave up. You were awarded the most combative rider of the day here in the Pan American Continental qualifiers. So congratulations on that, and hope that the selectors, of course, take note of how you raced today.
Thank you.
Well, that's Megan Eastler finishing 12th out there today, cooling down. Our production team was noting that Megan was one of the first riders on her bike. She does not shy away from the hard work out there, Hannah, and that's certainly a great sign. It's a great moment here to reflect and think about what an awesome day of racing this was, whether it was our Canadians or our Americans. We certainly found that there's a lot of talent. And the other thing, Hannah, I think is really noteworthy is there's going to be riders who continue to come out of the woodwork for us. Jackie Godby noted how cool that is. If this remains static, it's no fun for the athletes, but having new challenges, it's amazingly cool. And it sounds like we were able to get Mona Lee Keller on board. I was talking about Mona Lee being a mom of 3, and it looks like some of her superstar kids have made the show. Hey, I don't know if they can hear me or not, but how proud are you guys of your mom? She's a rock star.
Super proud. Yep, super proud.
Hey, whose birthday was it? Whose birthday was on Thursday in this group?
Emily.
Hey,
Yep.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
yeah, so
Thank you.
So it's interesting, Monali, isn't it? How life changes when you become a parent. But one thing that doesn't change is your desire to remain competitive. We were really, really impressed with your efforts out there today. Talk about making the Canadian Worlds team and how much that means to you. And it's got to make you proud in front of your kids to be able to have them know that their mom is one tough cookie.
Very. I'm super excited and very honored to be able to get to race in the Worlds with and represent Canada. I'm just beyond happy. Yeah.
Where in Canada? Where in Canada? I know you're in Seattle now, but where in Canada
Yeah.
are you from?
I'm actually from Nova Scotia, so the opposite coast.
So yeah, I think then we're going to give you the Nova Scotia champions jersey as well after today's effort, because that was really something. Talk to me about you've been racing in the community for quite a while. How tough was today with Kolchinsky, Godby, Curie? Is this the highest level that you've seen yet on Zwift?
I think to be honest, some of the premier races are pretty tough that I've been doing. And those girls generally school me pretty good in the Premier League, especially when there's really long climbs. So I was really happy today. The course suited me today. I'm a punchy rider, so the short hard efforts are good for me. So I was really happy today, and it definitely was really good competition. And I thought the racing was very high caliber today. I was very nervous at the end. I was going to lose it, but it was fun.
All right. And Mona Lee, coming into that finale, 8 riders, only 6 places available. What was going through your mind? Because of course, the precision of when you unleash your effort was a real key aspect of that finale.
Yeah, I actually went a bit early. I was telling my husband before the race, I always go too late, and I always launched my sprint a bit late, and I'm more reactive than I want to be, and so there was a bit of miscommunication between us. I wanted some help pushing the power up button, and it ended up that he pushed it a bit early. So it was 600 meters to go, and I was like, well, I guess I'm going now. So I just kind of went for it and just tried to hold on until the end, and I think I got a bit lucky, but I'm glad.
Wow,
Monali,
congratulations. Make the best out of every scenario. Sorry, Dave.
No, no worries, no worries. Hey, Monley, you're part of an incredible scene there in Seattle of women on Zwift. It really is empowering, isn't it, to see so many other women around you who've embraced this. Can you talk about what's the secret sauce there in Seattle? Is it all the rain? Why are we getting so many great racers out of that area?
It's the cookies, no. I don't know. I think we're very lucky in terms of just the number of competitive riders and racers that we have in the local Seattle riders who you can ride with, who you can race against, whether it be road or cyclocross or mountain biking. And so, and they all of the different disciplines do help at least me work on different skills and different power profiles. And we have really good terrain. We've got mountains, we have flats, we have kind of a range of everything. And so I think that also helps you be a bit of a better all-around rider. But I don't know if there's anything secret, but there's definitely a great community of riders here, and we all try to encourage each other and support each other. I think that's a huge part of it, is the community.
Well, she punched her ticket to the World Championships coming up in New York in late February. Monley Keller of the Aeonian team, thank you very much for joining us. Wow. So, Hannah, that was really a great look. One athlete who's a student, one athlete who's now in her internship at a hospital, a mom of three who works at Microsoft. It's such a diverse and talented group of athletes, but I think the common denominator is incredible willpower and ethic amongst all of these women out there today.
Yeah, that hard work that they've been putting in, all of those hours of training, both indoor, outdoor, that determination as well. And I think we're going to have such an incredible peloton of riders come the Esports World Championships. And let's not forget, this is before some of the national federations have made their other selections for the championships. It's just going to be incredible, and you see the strength and depth of talent. Dave, is going to be a good one.
Yeah, we're at the beginning of a whole new era of incredible esports racing. So, for my colleague, Hannah Walker, I'm Dave Toll, and certainly Matt Stevens, thank you for all that you do. This is what Zwift and esports is all about as we wrap up our Pan American Continental qualifiers here today. We found a lot more than six worthy athletes, and certainly I hope that they get their karma rebate and end up getting a ride as well, because all of these athletes certainly deserve it. So, for Hannah Walker, I'm Dave Toll, and our entire team here at Zwift saying thanks a lot for joining us. We look forward to seeing you down the road.